When I studied daily English, I began to change. I started to realize that my life has meaning. I could control my future and influence other people. I finally understood that my destiny was in my own hands. hands. When I studied basic English, I began to change. I started to realize that my life had meaning. I could control my future and influence other people. I finally understood that my destiny was in my own hands. When I studied reading English, I began to change. That my life, that my life. Um, when I studied reading English, I began to change. I started to realize that my life had meaning. I I could control my future and influence other people. I finally understood that my destiny was in my own hands. When I studied reading English, I began to change. Uh, I began to change. I started to realize that my life had meaning. Uh, I could control my future. I could control my future and influence other people. I finally understood that my destiny was in my own hands. When I studied reading English, I began to change. I started to realize that my life had meaning. I could control my future and influence other people. I finally understood that my destiny was in my own hands. When I studied reading English, I began to change. I started to realize that my life had meaning. I could control my future and influence other people. I finally understood that my destiny was in my own hands. Hello. When I studied reading English, I began to change. I started to realize that my life had meaning. I could control my future and influence other people. I finally understood that my destiny was in my own hands. When I studied crazy English, I began to change. I started to realize that my life had meaning. I could control my future and influence other people. I finally understood that my destiny was in my own hands. When I studied Korean English, I began to change. I started to realize that my life had meaning. I could control my future and influence other people. I finally understood that my destiny was in my own hands. When I studied Korean English, I began to change. I started to realize that my life had meaning. I could control my future and influence other people. I finally understood that my destiny was in my own hands. When I studied Korean English, I began to change. I started to realize that my life had meaning. I could control my future and influence other people. I finally understood that my destiny was in my own hands. When I studied Korean English, I began to change. I started to realize that my life had meaning. I could control my future and influence other people. I finally understood that my destiny was in my own hands. When I studied crazy English, I began to change. I started to realize that my life had meaning. I could control my future and influence other people. I finally understood that my destiny was in my own hands. When I studied Grady English, I began to change. I started to realize that my life had meaning. I could control my future and influence other people. I finally understood that my destiny was in my own hands. When I studied Korean English, I began to change. I started to realize that my life had meaning. I could control my future and influence other people. I finally understood that my destiny was in my own hands. When I studied Korean English, I began to change. I started to realize that my life had meaning. I could control my future and influence other people. I finally understood that my destiny was in my own hands. When I studied Korean English, I began to change. I started to realize that my life had meaning. I could control my future and influence other people. I finally understood that my destiny was in my own hands. When I studied Korean English, I began to change. I started to realize that my life had meaning. I could control my future and influence other people. I finally understood that my destiny was in my own hands. When I studied Korean religion, I started to realize that my life had meaning. I could control my future and influence other people. I finally understood that my destiny was in my own hands. When I studied Korean English, I began to change. I started to realize that my life had control my future and influence other people. I finally understood that my destiny was in my own hands. When I studied Greek English, I began to change. I started to realize that my life had meaning. I could control my future and influence other people. I finally understood that my destiny was in my own hands. When I studied Greek English, I began to change. I started to realize that my life had meaning. I could control my future and influence other people. I finally understood that my destiny was in my own hands. When I studied Greek, I began to change. I started to realize that my life had meaning. I could control my future and I could control my future and influence other people. I finally understood that my destiny was in my own hands. When I studied Greek, I began to change. I started to realize that my life had meaning. I could control my future and influence other people. I finally understood that my destiny was in my own hands. When I studied Greek, I began to change. I started to realize that my life had meaning. I could control my future and influence other people. I finally understood that my destiny was in my own hands. When I studied Greek, I began to change. I started to realize that my life had meaning. I could control my future and influence other people. I finally understood that my destiny was in my own hands. When I studied Greek English, I began to change. I started to realize that my life had meaning. I could control my future and influence other people. I finally understood that my destiny was in my own hands. When I studied Greek English, I began to change. I started to realize that my life had meaning. I could control my future and influence other people. I finally understood that my destiny was in my own hands. When I studied Greek English, I began to change. I started to realize that my life had meaning. I could control my future and influence other people. I finally understood that my destiny was in my own hands. 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 When I studied Greek English, I began to change. I started to realize that my life had meaning. I could control my future and influence other people. I finally understood that my destiny was in my own hands. When I studied creative ethics, I began to change. I started to realize that my life had meaning. I could control my future and influence other people. I finally understood that my destiny was in my own hands. When I studied creative, I began to change. I started to realize that my life had meaning. I could control my future and influence other people. I finally understood that my destiny was in my own hands. When I studied creative, I began to change. I started to realize that my life had meaning. I could control my future and influence other people. I started to understood that my destiny was in my own hands. When I studied creative education, I started to realize that my life had meaning. I could control my future and influence the people. I finally understood that my destiny was in my own hands.